Okay, let's do the final recap for the NAL 2021 season. This is Playday number 9 of Stage 3 of the NAL. So we had 5 games on the day, so nice long day. We had Dark Zero versus Astralis, Sonics versus Oxygen, TSM versus Mirage, Space Station versus Xset, and Dark Zero once again, this time versus Beast Coast. So 5 games, but we got to see 5 different maps on the day, which was very cool. And we didn't see any overtime, as we have not seen much of the entire season, but we did see 2 max regulation games and 2 11-round games. And the bans, I noticed, also had this weird symmetry going on between attackers and defenders. Thatcher got banned 4 times, and Valkyrie got banned 4 times. Mira got banned 3 times, and who was it on defense? It's Mira, right? Or no, Mira on defense and attack Nomad 3 times, and then it's 3 other single bans for each. So Captal, Haban, and Maverick. And then on defense, Mozzie, Wamai, Kaid. So kind of cool there. They switched around the casters, and they did this tri-cast thing for the last two games, which I think worked really well. I think a lot of people were hesitant about it, and I think it's been done before at some point in Tier 1 play. I don't remember where, but I believe it had. I'm not 100%. But yeah, no, it worked pretty well. It flows pretty well into each other. It helps that, like, 2 of these are like a duo, you know, Blue and Stokes cast together all the time. And then Emzo is just a really experienced caster, maybe not recently, but he was long tenured in the game since pretty much the beginning. And also, maybe this wouldn't work at all if this was not in person, but they are now in person. We got to see Jacob and Jesse get on the mic together, and they were very good. And then just a Blue and Stokes game and Blue and Enzo game. So I guess let's just get into the games. We saw Bank once again, which was cool to see. Dark Zero versus Astralis. So my predictions were kind of in shambles on the day. This was my worst prediction rate day of the season. I only got 2 out of 5, and I missed the first 3 in a row. So I thought Dark Zero were gonna win this game, and they don't end up winning it. Astralis win it, and Astralis didn't 100% need to win it to avoid relegations, but they needed to get some points if they wanted to secure themselves out of relegation without seeing how the other teams did. So they won, and with their win, they can no longer be relegated. They got up to 9 points. Very good for them. Yeah, no, I don't really know what happened here. I mean, Astralis, I guess they just kicked themselves into gear because they did not want to get relegated, and they looked good in their previous game. They didn't play in the last Playday, but they played the Playday before that, and it was against, who was it against, actually? Against Beast Coast, right? And they won 7-4, so solid win, but Beast Coast being one of the weaker teams, not the most impressive win ever, but, you know, good on them. And then they had a day off, and then, you know, I didn't really consider this too much going into the Playday when I was making my predictions, but somebody said it on the broadcast, maybe it was Jesse, but Dark Zero had to prep for 3 different games, 3 different teams over the course of 2 days, and I suppose originally when they were prepping, they didn't think it'd be 3 teams in 2 days, but because Playday number 8 got pushed back, and so this one got pushed back a day, since they were made to be back-to-back days, then Dark Zero did have to prep for Astralis and Beast Coast and Oxygen all in, you know, like 24-ish hour span of each other. And Astralis had a bye on Playday, so Astralis only had to prep for DZ. So, you know, if I'd taken that into consideration, maybe I would have picked Astralis to win this one, but Dark Zero did have a lot to fight for as well. This game does not lock them out of being able to qualify for Sweden, being able to crack, you know, make it into the top 4, but it does make it a lot harder because Dark Zero does not get any points in this game. TSM needs only just 1 point in their game, and they will be going to Sweden. So we'll see if that happens. And I mean, I'm sure everybody watching this already knows what happened there. The round I want to show from this game is round number 4. So it's just a pretty solid-ish execute from Dark Zero. They bring it down to a 2v1, and then they get the plant down, and then shuttles upstairs with Mira. So he comes around to square, and then he manages to get 1 kill. But and then he waits a little bit to see if he can get the other kill, if Pambazoo will present himself. But at this point, there's like 25 seconds on the diffuser, so he needs to get moving. He walks around to where the diffuser is, and then, so from what it looks like, he can sort of hide behind the bomb chassis to defuse, but because there are 2 different angles that Pambazoo can come from, he can come from the double door that connects staff and open area, or he can, and actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I'm not sure, I'm not 100% if there is a rotate. I guess you'll see in the clip, you can see for yourself, if there's a rotate between staff and admin, but there's definitely a line of sight if there's not a rotate. So he can come from both of those places, or he can at least see from both those places. So he needs to choose his angle. So from this is a little bit hard to explain. From Shuttle's perspective, so he's behind that little bar, and again, I haven't showed the clip yet, but you'll be able to see it. The little kitchen bar thing. So if he is a little bit to the left of the bomb chassis, he'll be covered from the admin angle. If he is directly behind it, he will be covered from, and I'm not sure if he can get 100% behind it because of where the diffuser is placed, but if he gets behind it, straight back, he'd be covered from the double door. And Pamazoo, because he sort of switches back and forth, he gets Shuttle to go to basically the incorrect one. He goes to the one slightly to the left to hide from the admin angle, and then when Pamazoo goes to double door, he just has a clear headshot on him and he gets him. If he'd gone behind the bomb, maybe he could have won that. I'm not 100%. I mean, Pamazoo was playing Hibana, so he's 3 speed. Maybe he can run over there. I'm not sure. But it was very well played by Pamazoo and pretty well played by Shuttle. I mean, getting the first kill and then, getting pretty close on the fuse, trying to juke him out and whatever. And I think somebody posted on Twitter about how Pamazoo looks so much better in his post plants after what happened to him at the Mexico Major, and this was against maybe it was NIP. I'm not 100%, but it was on Consulate, and the diffuser was planted in piano room on Consulate. I think I just said right. And he sort of plays it poorly, and he gets diffused against, and so I think this instance, and then I think there's been 1 or 2 other instances of him in a post plant that he's played very well. So he put the practice in. I think Pamazoo is a really good player. He's just seemed shaky in a few areas in the past, but he looks very, very solid now. Maybe just a few things left to work on. But anyways, that's enough about that. Let's show the clip here.
But we still have Shuttle on the back flank here as he's able to take down Hyper, trying to limit the time. Now he's going to try to go for the plant denial, but I don't think he'll have the capability to do so. NJR gets it onto the ground, and now it's Shuttle versus the world for a retake in the 1v2.
Ooh, this so very risky here for Shuttle, especially with the rotation that he had to make all the way across. And oh, what a shot! The oopsie-doopsie back and forth puts NJR on skates, practically on ice on that one, and now it's down to Pamazoo to try and oversee this bomb. They knew where he was, obviously Shuttle being 3 armor here. He's quite loud, and yeah, he's got the red pings, and oh, he's also got the case in his hands as well. This is gonna force Pamazoo to step up, and oh, this is gonna be a game of musical chairs, folks. Back and forth, who can possibly win on this advantage? He knows where he is. Pamazoo, he takes so much heat, and Shuttle, he is electric today, folks, but Pamazoo finally gets him shut down.
I guess I can move on from this game. I don't have too much else to say. This is maybe this was one of the less exciting ways to start off the day. If this had gone overtime, things could have been a little bit different. But I mean, I guess if Dark Zero won the game and then like TSM lost their game, the last game really would have been unexciting. So maybe this was an okay way for the day to kick off, given the way that future games in the day progressed. Okay, let's move on. Sonics versus Oxygen. I got this one wrong as well. And so, okay, so my prediction rate, I believe I beat the analyst desk by, I think I beat Jesse by 1, Belly by 2, and Jacob by 3, which is cool. And also, to be fair, I also have the disadvantage of making my prediction before seeing the map. And honestly, if I'd seen this map and then got to predict, I probably would have picked Oxygen, because this is where Sonics fell to Xset. I guess they beat Space Station here. It's not like a bad map for them, but Oxygen have always been, or for at least the longest time, have been very good on Coastline. And I don't know, as soon as I saw the map, I got kind of concerned. But then watching the game, for the first little while, it seemed like it would be good for Sonics to win the game. So, I mean, Oxygen takes the first round, and then they go back and forth a little bit, but then 2 back-to-back flawless rounds, and this happens here, and then this also happens in the SSG, like 2 flawless rounds, and they got 4 flawless rounds in this game. Yeah, okay, I'll talk about that when I get there. Getting ahead of myself. 2 back-to-back flawless rounds here, making it look very good, and then they end up tying it 3-3 at the half, and generally you want to get more rounds on your attacking half, so with Sonics taking 3 on their defensive half, it seemed pretty good for them. But then when we get over here, it's just 1 more round for the Sonics. So again, it looks like it's going to be a Sonics map, but then Oxygen just runs it up. They get 3 in a row, and then Sonics keep themselves alive for 1 round, and then they fall in round number 12. So it was just great play by Oxygen, especially by Vertical. He's had an amazing season. I mean, one of the best seasons of anyone in the entire NAL 2021. I mean, Hot and Cold, obviously, it's been the best player in the whole season, but this is like, disregarding Hot and Cold's performances, this is easily one of the very top performances Vertical in this season. Like Hyper had a good one last season. Grixer's been really good. Rexen. And then, yeah, just Vertical stands tall along with those guys. I think he did pretty well first season, like a 1.1, but I think he did poorly last season. Or, sorry, stage. First stage he did well, second stage he did poorly, if I remember right. And then he killed it this stage. I don't know what changed, but Oxygen went from in stage 1, I mean, #1 team, and then they really struggled. Stage 2, barely made it back to 6th place. They could have ended up in 7th place, and then they were really at the end of the stage, it looks like the second best team after Space Station. So, okay, let's take a look at this round. Yeah, round number 6. So as you can see, there's a 4K from Vertical and a 4K from Rexen. That's not a very common occurrence. There's also a plant in this round, a 1v1. So maybe, okay, I'll talk about it a little bit. Vertical ends up getting a 4K and he goes for the ace. Maybe he gets greedy, but he's trying to waste a little bit of time, a little bit more time on the defuse. And then Rexen, he gets a nice 4K. He goes for the disable, but he doesn't have enough time to get it, so he loses the round. So Yaga, even though he's dead, gets the 1v1 effectively. That's how it's tracked anyways. So I guess not too much to say. It's just a lot of kills from Rexen and a lot of kills from Vertical. So let's show that round here.
In combination with a pull door swing here, but Vertical will make things happen instead as he lines up the frag grenade against Super's position. A nice easy one to sink in there to take him down, and Vertical will carry that forward for a second kill as well, now that he transitions to the blue bar window. That's the site plate now open for the taking here, as we'll see Foxay already through the plant process for the most part. They don't account for Rexen sitting over here in the courtyard though, so him and Kansan are going to start to frag back. It's fallen to Yaga and Vertical now from OXG. Yaga having an incredibly deep outside position in the post plant, and Vertical still holding, I believe, the blue bar window here. Away from that, we're going to see pressure put onto Kansan as he takes a couple of shots from Yaga's position outside, but he cannot find the counter to it on his own regard here. He's going to get aggressive, go up against the window instead, and he will catch Vertical, but Vertical's ready for it in his post-plant angle. They were both they were supposed to swing at the same time, but it won't pan out as Vertical takes down Grixer, leaving just Rexen in this fight now in the 1v1. Yaga going to try to swing back in. Rexen couldn't let go, and even with this kill now, he is not going to have time to get the clutch. The round will go to OXG.
And yeah, just I mean, a lot of kills back and forth. Cool kind of round. Auction take it. But I mean, if this could have been a tide turner. I mean, I suppose if Sonics had won this round, it might have shifted their momentum and changed the results of this. But assuming the second half went the same way, this would have pushed them to overtime. And then who's to say who would have won that? You know, it's unclear. But Sonics would have had a chance to win in overtime, certainly. And yeah, coming off the momentum of 2 flawless rounds and then a clutch, they might have been better set up for the second half. And then, this would have been 4 in a row, so maybe the timeout still would have turned them around. Yeah, all conjecture. Hard to say what really would have happened, but things could have been different. So that was that game. It was pretty exciting. This is sort of one of the grudge match pairings of the NAL, Sonics versus Auction. For one reason or another, these teams have some level of dislike for each other, and then also just even outside of that, just a general level of competition. Because at the end of the season, there's sort of this little tiering, not tiering. Yeah, okay, a system of tiers that a lot of teams were just really close to each other, and I'll cover this in a future video. I want to talk about it, but it's sort of like Space Station was just head and shoulders above everyone else on points, and then Sonics and Oxygen were within 1 point of each other, and then Dark Zero and TSM were within 1 point of each other, and then Mirage and Astralis were within 1 point of each other. I think, right? And then I think Beast Coast and Xset. So I think all of those pairs might have been within 1 point of each other or very close to each other, and there's a gap between each of these pairs, right? So, and Sonics and Auction, or no, they ended up on the same. Sonics and Auction were on the same points, but I think Sonics, because I'd put them above Auction in the overall standings if they were relevant at all, because they had a better record overall on like rounds, and Sonics have the head-to-head over Auction, all this stuff. Anyways, okay, so that's that round and that game. This round, there's no opening kill, opening death, because Vertical team kill Laxing for the first kill, so just sort of nullifies the whole opening duel thing. So if you're curious and you're looking over here, there's only going to be 11 opening kills, opening deaths. So moving on to the next game, TSM versus Mirage on Clubhouse. This is another game where I might have predicted differently if I had already seen the map. So they went to Clubhouse, and generally this is a very good Mirage map, except for the fact that they lost it several times very recently. before the recent games on it, they had won it quite a lot. They might have even been on quite a long win streak. I'm not 100% on that. But, you know, it's probably a fine map for TSM, but it's not like one of their better maps, I don't believe. So, yeah, I might have picked Mirage, but, you know, they played just last week against Sonics on this map, and they should have won it. They end up choking it. Kind of a heartbreaking game. And then they played it also this season against, I'm not 100%, it might have been like Space Station and Oxygen. And if it was those two teams, then you can't fault them too much. Those are just really, really good teams. And even if you go to your best map against the best teams, it's, you know, it's not a shoo-in that you're going to win. It's also just a really good map for Oxygen, especially, and then Space Station. Although, you know, they used to be really good on it, and then they were sort of shaky on it. And I think they're pretty good on it once again. So anyways, what goes down in this game? TSM, you know, they go up the first round, and then Mirage answers back, but then TSM goes up 3-1. So you want to win more rounds on your defensive half on this map, so they're looking pretty good to do it. And then Mirage calls their timeout, and then they get a flawless round off the back of an ace from Loading. And I think this is only the third ace of the season. So in stage 1, Kino got an ace, and then in this stage, I think it's J90 and then Loading here. So I believe those are the only 3 aces of this season. Let me know if there are any others I'm forgetting. I'm almost positive there's none in stage 2, and maybe there's another one in stage 1 I'm missing, but I think it was just the Kino ace. Anyways, so the final ace of the season comes out here from Loading. Very nice, and also in a flawless round, which I don't think happens very much. So they get this round good, but then TSM gets another round. So TSM go up 4-2. You generally expect to go up 4-2. If it's 3-3, probably the attackers won, and if it's 4-2, the defenders probably won slightly. But then it sort of goes to the next round to see where we're at. If it goes to 4-3, it's probably about an evenish game, and it does, because you know, the defenders, they get the first round here, but then they don't stop winning. They keep going. They get a flawless round the next round, and they get another round. And TSM, they got to stop the bleeding. They call a timeout, but it is not enough. Round 6 and 7 for Mirage in round 10 and 11, of course, secures them the game. We get a 1v3 here. We got a plant, but a disable coming out here. Like it was just solid play from Mirage, and finally we got to see their full power on Clubhouse, it would seem. Yeah, just they couldn't be cracked by TSM, I guess. So this game is a little bit heartbreaking because, well, no, not this one so much, but it is bittersweet in the way that the previous game that Mirage played was a heartbreaker. If they had beat Sonics in that game in regulation and then won this game here, they had a good chance to go to the major. They would have just been hoping that Dark Zero dropped at least 1 point, which doesn't end up happening, admittedly. They wouldn't have gone to the major, but they would have been 5th place instead of 6th place, which would have been cool. More SI points, and maybe that would have put them in contention for SI instead of TSM, but now it is TSM who has a chance of going to SI, depending on how other teams play at the major. TSM not going to the major. Hope you're already aware of that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you are, right? You've already watched the Playday. You're watching the recap, I would imagine, or at least know what happens, right? So, yeah, it's just tough. Like, you know, Mirage could have been on 12 points. They could have been preying on Dark Zero's downfall, and maybe some sort of butterfly effect would have let Beast Coast take Dark Zero to overtime. I don't know. But it is what it is. You know, Mirage redeemed themselves a little bit late in the season. They were one of the teams I was struggling, of course. Them and Astralis and Beast Coast next set, but they were one of the 2 teams that at the end of the season redeemed themselves and were not just preying on the downfall of another team. They got up to 10 points. They had no chance of being relegated regardless of how well XSET and Beast Coast do in these next 2 games. And I didn't show the round right. Let's show this round where Loading gets his ace. It's really quick. Like, it's within the span of like 20 seconds or fewer maybe where he gets this ace and he just secures the first team. So let's show that clip here,
because this could be really hectic as we approach the final 45 seconds.
Nick's about to come right in. Everyone trying to jump out and look for kills, but Loading's got 2 right off the rip, and Chala again in the same position he was before, making the triple kill for Loading. And right now, Geo and Merc trying to make it happen themselves. They cannot. Not Loading with an ace.
Next game, Space Station versus XSET on Cafe. Curious that we went to Cafe, considering this is Space Station's best map. It came down to, I think XSET had the choice, didn't they? Between Bank and this? No, Villa. No, it wasn't their choice. I'm thinking of a different map, I guess. SSG has the choice of Villa or Cafe, and SSG's best map is Cafe. They've already showed Cafe. They have not showed Villa recently. There's no reason for them to go to Villa. So, of course, they go to Cafe. they can just sort of go through the motions and win this game. Although, you know, at some points it looked like maybe that was not going to be enough. Like Xset might have won this game, but in the end it is Space Station who closed it out in regulation time. They don't even need to go to overtime to win it. And this had to be a little bit bittersweet because I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but I'll say it again. Fultz and Prod used to be on a different team together, Organized Chaos, back in Challenger League, and they were like a killer team. Merc was also on that team, I think. And I mean, I think these guys are just buddies in some regard. Unfortunate, like Fultz had to relegate his bro Prod and the whole Prod squad. Although, you know, they're not relegated just yet. They do get the chance to fight for it against whatever Challenger League team does well enough to challenge them, and you know, whoever I guess wins Challenger League for this season, the stage I guess. So yeah, and I mean, like, you're not gonna, you know, you don't just pull your punches and let somebody win. That used to happen. Like some teams would sort of maybe throw or like try to influence games or whatever, but I think Space Station is a team with too much competitive integrity to pull their punches. Of course, like, they didn't go all out. They still wanted to hide things for the major, so they were just doing their defaults and whatnot, but it was enough to win. And Fultz actually in particular does go crazy. He gets like 19 kills or something in this game. He goes absolutely nuts. So, right, Space Station wins the first round, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, let's see the Space Station domination. They 7-0'd Xset last stage on this map, I think. But then, in round 2, we see a nice clutch from Filthy come out, so Filthy does not want to go down. The whole Xset roster does not want to go down. So nice clutch coming out from him here. Then Xset win another round. And then in this round, there's another clutch. Creators gets this 1v2 clutch. He gets 4K, gets the disable. And this is the round I'm going to show, actually. In the clip, you'll notice, if you're paying attention, that Prod gets one of the kills in the kill feed. And I think where I start the clip, there's already one kill. Hot and Cold actually gets spawn killed in this round by Razor. So after that spawn kill, Creators gets all 4 kills. But the Prod kill, it's on a player that Creators already down. So the way the crediting system works anymore is that whoever actually gets the down gets the kill. But in the kill feed, it'll still say whoever killed the down player. It'll say their name in the kill feed, but you know, they won't be credited on the scoreboard with a kill, but instead with an assist. So giving Creators 4 kills, the last 4 kills of the round. And again, he gets the 1v2. So let's show that round here.
SSG still focusing quite heavily on these top-down angles to play from here. We do have the 2 Nitros still available. They are going to be able to find one player in a down, more than likely through the top-downs that they established for themselves. That's going to be Skies going into a down state, now finished off by Prod's Nitro Cell, which actually takes him down. Creators as well is going to be able to find out faults in this situation, and very, very quickly, once again, as they get towards the site, SSG's attack starts to fall apart slightly. Rampy getting a change-up, though, as he's able to take down Prod, and that brings it to a 2v3. Bosco in a tough spot as well here, but Rampy helps him out, bails NVK out of this round here and takes him away. That evens out the numbers in a 2v2, and Rampy gets one more dude was in sight position. Bosco will be lost, but with less than 10 seconds here, Creators needs to keep a close eye on this as Bosco had the case in hand initially, but never mind, it's on Rampy here. Creators needs to move in and try to find a way to deny it, but he might not even have the sound intel right now. He'll leap in, try to stop this from happening. The call will go out. Will the kill happen? No, he goes over the banister, and it's not going to be enough. Creators gets them both. He gets the quad on the round, and Xset do it again.
And yeah, nice clutch from Creators. He plays it well on time. Rampy maybe, you know, got a little bit too presumptuous and thought he could make it away safely. If, you know, if Creators was lagging behind by just maybe like a second, Rampy would have escaped into prep and just been able to get a nice angle on the bomb. And Creators still could have won it maybe, but Rampy certainly would have just not been a free kill. So anyways, at this point, Xset is up 3-1 off the back of 2 clutches, but then Space Station answers back. They get a flawless round. Their first of 4 flawless rounds. Like, that's insane. 1/3 of the rounds were flawless rounds. Like, I don't, like, if anybody has any idea, has it ever happened in T1 competition where this many flawless rounds were got in, you know, they didn't even go overtime. 4 flawless rounds in 12 rounds. Incredible. Absolutely smashing. But, you know, doesn't detract from the fact that Xset does get to 5 rounds. So anyways, and then they get this round Xset. So 4-2 on the defensive half. You know, it's sound, like they're going to the next half. But then things just change up. Like, Xset got bold and crazy, and like they were just really scrappy on defense. They were going for spawn kills. They were getting these nice clutches. They were doing all this stuff. But then they just looked sort of cowardly when they got to attack. I don't know if it just the end of the line nerves kicked in. They're like, oh my god, we have to get 3 more rounds against the best team in NA, or well, I guess 2 more rounds actually would have secured it for them. We need to get at least 2 more rounds, but ideally 3 rounds against the best team in NA on their best map when we are on attack, you know, the more difficult side. And I think part of the reason Space Station's so good on Cafe is because of their attacks. So I mean, good on Xset to shut down their attacks in all but 2 rounds. Space Station's attack, but still, I mean, regardless of how good Space Station are on attack, defense is still the easier side. So yeah, 2 back-to-back flawless rounds, and that's got to be like backbreaking for this to happen. You already got flawless round over here. You just need a couple more rounds, and you're just getting crushed like this. So they call it timeout, but it's not enough. Hot and Cold wakes up. He gets his 4K. Hot and Cold got like so many C4 kills in this game, like at least 3, if not more. And then you know, finally maybe their timeout juices kick in. They get this round, so it's 5-5. If Xset can get at least 1 more round, you know, they can at least guarantee overtime. But if they get 2 rounds, they're golden. But then Space Station, another flawless round, crazy. And then Space Station end up closing it out, and just like Bolts is going crazy this game, and it cannot be understated how very unfortunately NVK just costed this game. I don't think he gets on the board. He ends like 0-10, 0-11 or something, and like it just, you gotta believe that if MVK had got like a few frags that Xset might have been able to avoid relegations, because Beast Coast loses this game in regulation. If Xset had just got a single point, if they had got 1 more round, if they would won this round, any of these rounds, then they would not have to fight for their spot in NAL. And yeah, it was a big day for several players. Like Volts went crazy in this game. Well, NBK did terribly in this game. And then in the Oxygen game, I mean, Rexen goes crazy, Vertical goes crazy. In the other end, actually, those might be the only like really, really crazy performances. I guess, I mean, Loading got this ace, but I don't think his score was incredible at the end. It was pretty well a team effort in terms of the scoreboard on that game. Yeah, so it just, God, tragedy for Xset. Like they were playing so well, except for 1 player, and just they couldn't get it over the line. Just they were so close to taking the best team in the league to overtime, which would have got them out of relegations. And I think at this point, although Xset by most metrics deserved to have to play for their spot in the league, have to go to relegations, it looks like they're not actually at this point the worst team in the league. I would say it's got to be Beast Coast, because okay, so Xset, they got the fewest points over the course of all 3 stages. So over the course of the season, Beast Coast beat them out by 1 point. And in this stage even, Beast Coast placed higher than them because they got the same number of points, but Beast Coast had the head-to-head over Xset. But Xset did so much better on average against the good teams, actually beating some of them, than Beast Coast did. Like Beast Coast just got slaughtered. 7-1 by SSG, 7-1 by Auction, 7-1 by TSM, and like 7-3 by Sonics, and 7-2 by Dark Zero. Yeah. As we'll discuss in this game. So they got 8 rounds against the top 5 teams, which is pretty terrible. If Xset had their schedule in a different order, I think that Xset would not have been relegated. And especially that very first game, if they hadn't played Beast Coast in the first game, even if it was like the second game or just later in the season, I think Xset might have managed to beat Beast Coast, because Beast Coast, they beat Xset, right? And they beat Mirage, and I think it is a little bit of an anomaly that they beat Mirage in the fashion that they did. It was a 7-2, I think, and that's a little bit weird, because I guess that was just an off week for Mirage and a good week for Beast Coast. So Beast Coast, they look good against Mirage and Xset, but those are the only games they really look good in. And Xset, again, I mean, 7-5 against Space Station, and just got a bunch of rounds against the actual good teams, and they beat Dark Zero, right? And they went to overtime with TSM. Is that right? Is that yeah, just last week they went to overtime with TSM. They didn't win it, but it was very close. So yeah, I think, although, you know, it's unfair to just be like, oh yeah, subjectively Xset's not the worst team, so they shouldn't go to relegations. Of course, you have to do it by an objective metric, which is what happened. I think decidedly Beast Coast at the moment is the worst team in the league. And Xset, honestly, like, I mean, by some chance, maybe MVK is listening to this, I suppose. He needs to up his game, and he knows that. Like, I don't need to say that. He doesn't need to hear that from me. But it's very evident to him, and he's got to be absolutely sweating his ass off. If he does, I mean, the whole team is, if they lose in relegations, out of the league for a year. All of them, unless some of them get picked up. But at this point, I think some of them have maybe questionable reputations. You know, Razor is still like fairly new. Creators is sort of tenured, and he did well before he was on XSET, and he's done okay on XSET, so on and so forth. NVK, legendary player, but comes back and has a very poor performance. And then Prod finally worked his way up to the top level, just get relegated. Oh man, it's tough. Okay, so big rant on that aside. I guess that's it for that, and let's move on to the last game of the day, Dark Zero versus Beast Coast. So, I mean, I talked about it before. It's a 7-2 win for Dark Zero. You can see a pretty handy win. I was watching all of the games, and then I didn't watch this one in its entirety. I went to bed, and then, I don't know, I just, like, didn't fall asleep, so I actually, like, tuned back in, and I saw the last, like, 2 rounds of this game, and because I was really, I guess my curiosity maybe was keeping me awake. I really wanted to see if Dark Zero would be going to the major or not, because they needed to, at this point, just win this game in regulation, and they went to the major. It's that simple. If Beast Coast gets 6 rounds or more, they don't go to the major. And, you know, Beast Coast didn't even get close. They won the first round, which looked pretty good. You know, Anthony went in and, yeah, maybe a little questionable maneuvers there, but then the rest of the team looked really good, took the round, but then Dark Zero answers back with 3 of their own. Beast Coast calls a timeout, they get a round, and they do this rush play, which is kind of cool. I don't know if it was pre-planned or they saw an opportunity, and maybe it was a bit harebrained. It came down to like a 2v2, which Sippin had to win a 1v2, but I think one of those, if I remember right, one of those guys was down, so it was like a 1v1. And he was advantaged, of course, in being the attacker in the post plant. He was in a decent position. Okay, and then, you know, Dark Zero wins this round, and then they just win all these rounds. So, Dark Zero, if you go up 4-2 on the defense of Chalet, it's usually pretty good. Not every time. Sometimes Chalet pans out to be defender-sided, but overall, attacker-sided map. So once Dark Zero got on the attack, as they proved they could do in the day before this against Oxygen, they proved that their attacks are now much better. They look like a better team, and I guess they switched up roles again a little bit here. So you see NJR playing the Sledge, which Eclipse had been playing, and this makes a lot more sense because NJR had been on this like flex support role, which was a little bit interesting because he's a crazy player, and every player on this team in their own right is honestly a crazy player. Pambazoo, I think, just very mechanically gifted and very skilled, a bit of a sporadic player, inconsistent at times, although definitely improving. NJR just proved he was an absolute monster. When he was on Disrupt, he was just like the best player there, and he's been solid. You know, maybe a little bit lackluster at times on Dark Zero, but especially like at the major, he proved what he's made of and has many times. He's a very good player. Now he's on a little bit more aggressive role, Sledge, which you know, he was even involved in 2 of these opening duels here. And so Eclipse off Sledge back onto Breach. I believe Eclipse played Breach at some point. Maybe not, because I think it was Skies when Skies was still on the roster, so I actually don't know how that pans out. Maybe Eclipse has never played Breach, because now that I think of it, I feel like I saw him tweet something about playing a new role, and I assume he was referring to this, and I was confused. But now that I think of it, yeah, I guess he hadn't really played it before. Okay, maybe. You know, if you want to correct me on that, feel free. If anybody's watching like 100 minutes into this video. Okay, so Eclipse on Breach, and it looked natural for him, and then Canadian on, you know, normal Canadian things where he just plays whatever filler role, and then Hyper still on the entry, but this now on Finka, not Zofia for this map at least. Finka coming into the meta much more, especially on a map like Chalet. So yeah, role adjustments, and it wasn't just for this game. I mean, if we look back at this game, I think NJR is also playing he's playing the Sledge here, Eclipse also on Breach here, Canadian doing all this stuff, Yana, Montaigne, Captel, likes a lot of Captel, and then Pamazoo, they decided they wanted a second Breacher, and generally Hibana and Ace, if you have another hard Breacher, you can play in a little bit more aggressive of a fashion. They're well suited to that, and then Hyper on Sophia here, and well, 1 round of Finka, sure. Okay, so yeah, Dark Zero just dismantles Beast Coast, as every good team apparently does. So yeah, I mean, I guess Beast Coast is in the league for the future, but they definitely, they have to improve. Like, they need to do something. And there is one clear something that everyone in the community is going to say that they need to do and will do, and probably they will. And I'm not going to say what it was, because I will talk about it in a future video. But, you know, you probably know what it is. So that's that game. Let's look at the standings, and then I want to just go down the line and establish what happened at each time, just so you can, maybe if you weren't watching the day, see what how things unfolded in terms of relegations and major qualifications. So at the end of the day, Space Station, they were already confirmed for first before the day, and so here they are at the end of the day. First place, Oxygen, second place, it was likely. Well, I guess not that likely. It just came down to if Sonics won, they would probably be in second. If Oxygen won, they'd be in second. Okay. And Oxygen won, so here they are in second place. And then Sonics third place. They didn't get passed by anybody, so here they are. Dark Zero made not quite the miracle run, but they needed more things to go right than wrong for them in that they needed to win at least one of their games and then TSM to lose, or win both their games and then TSM could okay, so basically they needed a 2 out of 3 sort of thing. TSM, heartbreak for them. Dark Zero, I think a clip I saw somebody posting about and I want to give credit to who it was, but I don't actually remember. It was like, was it Grant? I don't recall. Somebody was talking about the only players to go to every major, and they were talking about every major including SI, so there's not actually been that many. And at first I was like, what do you mean? This doesn't make sense. But because I was thinking Pro League Finals was majors, but they were just talking about like the Rally Major, Paris Major, the SIs, the regional majors that we've had recently, this stuff, and Mexico. And I guess Eclipse and Bosco are the only ones to go to all of them. And then if you don't include SIs, I think it also includes like LMs and the NIP core besides Pino and Muzi, which is what, like Psycho, Julio, and Kamikaze, I think. It might be those, 6 players that have been to all the non-SI majors. And then, yeah, I mean, Bosco and Eclipse, very cool to have gone to all of these events. And now I think Dark Zero and Space Station are confirmed for SI, so they will keep that going. They'll get to go to Sweden. They'll get to go to SI. I mean, assuming neither of them get dropped or something, which I don't see why they would. So yeah, SI 2022, they will continue their streak. Yeah, but TSM out, that's a heartbreaker for them. They were such a consistent force in NA for quite a long time. They were like the second best team for a really long time behind Space Station, and then they cracked in to the point where they probably were the best team for a little bit. And now they're struggling. They struggled in stage 1, ending up in, I think, 5th place as well, right? And then dominant in stage 2, just behind Space Station 2nd place, and now back down to 5th. Not qualifying for the major, not having enough points to guarantee themselves SI, but it is still a possibility, so that's tough. Mirage, before all this stuff unfolded, they had a chance to go to the major, but I mean, they lost out on that. Unfortunate. They ended up in 6th place, so they can at least say they outdid their other struggle buddies down here at the bottom. They came out top of the pack, get a little bit more money in their pockets and whatnot. Astralis also, it's good to go out with a win as well. A little bit of redemption. They, as much as they struggled this season, it looks like they are probably a little bit better going into next season. And I guess the thing that they are focusing now on, I would imagine, is going to be for the SI last chance qualifier, I guess. All these teams at the bottom are, except for XET, who also, of course, have to worry about relegations. More so than that, probably. And so, yeah, Beast Coast and XET at the bottom. Beast Coast, for this final game, it didn't matter if they won or not. Like, I mean, I guess you can get, it didn't matter, right, at all for them, because they couldn't go below XET and they couldn't pass Astralis, right, because I think Astralis has the head-to-head against them, so they were playing for nothing. And they played like they're playing for nothing, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's tough. And then XET, yeah, as soon as they lost to Space Station without getting 6 points, they were just stuck in that relegation position. And yeah, so let's just go down the line really quick, like I said I wanted to. So Dark Zero loses to Astralis. This gets Astralis out of, it means they cannot get relegated, and it means Dark Zero, their fate is currently out of their hands for it to go to Sweden. They need TSM to not win their game, and then they need to win their last game in relegation to go. Okay, and then Sonics versus Oxygen. After this game ends, Oxygen secures 2nd place, and Sonics, they were already secured for the major when Dark Zero, yeah, okay, so I think after this game, right, Sonics were secured for the major because Dark Zero would have need to pass them in points. Sonics would have need to get no points, and Easy would have need their full 6 to pass Sonics. Okay, so Sonics secured for the major, Oxygen secured in 2nd place, so Sonics 3rd or 4th place. This game, TSM versus Mirage, this gets Mirage out of potential relegations, and it makes it so TSM needs Dark Zero to not get 3 points in their game, and then TSM will go to Sweden. In this game, SSG was already secured 1st place, so the only thing secured for this game was XET into that relegation position. And then in this game, Beast Coast, like I said, playing for nothing. Dark Zero needs a full 3 points to go to Sweden, and they get those points and they go to Sweden. And now, actually, I think, right, I forgot to do the clip for this, so good thing I went back to do this. So I'm actually just going to show the last round here. It's a flawless round for Dark Zero, and they just clean up, and you can see right after the round ends, Hyper so excited to win that game and get to go to Sweden, and the rest of his team, I'm sure they're excited, but they look more relieved than anything. They're like, thank God TSM lost their game, and we won this game. Good thing we were playing Beast Coast, right, team? Okay, so let's show that clip here.
They now know at least someone is nearby due to the fact that the drone snuck in. Nade's going to try to isolate Sippin. It won't work. He'll try to push, though, and Panba will very much be ready to take that fight. Sippin is also going to fall as well. That's going to detach a large majority of the exposed aggressive positions, and Fozo is next at top blue here. He as well cannot maintain his position on the staircase, so he will go down. Not fully eliminated just yet, however, but he'll get confirmed by Canadian. Jay and Young Alec are the only two remaining, and they still have the full roster of Dark Zero to fend off. Still as well, over 1 minute and 15 seconds to waste from Dark Zero's time here. Dark Zero will be very, very careful to make sure that they succeed in taking down these last two players without much of an issue. There goes Jay, and it's all left on to Alec here, the best player in the matchup until this point, but it's not going to matter as Canadian shuts it all down. Dark Zero get a flawless round, and they are going to the major in Sweden.
Okay, you know, nice flawless round. And I think a bit fitting that Canadian is the one to secure the last 2 kills. You know, Canadian came onto this roster and people were very, very excited. And they looked pretty good at first, and then they looked like they were struggling a little bit in the middle, and then they brought it back at the end. And now it should be super cool to see Canadian. I mean, he was on LAN here, but at another major with under better circumstances, because last time we saw him on LAN before the stage was, I mean, SI, right? Where he just got called back onto the team because Luke couldn't go. And that looked contemptuous in a lot of ways. So yeah, so fitting, I think, that Canadian got these last 2 kills, secured them. Of course, somebody else would have got the kills. It's not like he made a hero play or anything, but still. Okay, so that's that. And I already covered the standings. So this video is so incredibly long. And I mean, I guess I thank you if you have listened this far. You must have forgot that this video is playing, or you actually care about what I'm saying. And if that's the case, you know, very cool. We're getting close to 100 subs, which is nice. I think I've slowed down in gaining of subs, but after this, I'm planning to make some videos that are a little bit more generally interesting to people. I mean, the recap videos, especially being as long as they are, and the prediction videos, I think prediction videos maybe do a little bit better. But the recap videos being super long and talking about nothing new to people. Maybe like the little details are new to some people, but also a lot of people don't care about the new details. So with all that being said, I think going forward, whenever I get back to doing coverage for events or leagues, which I mean the earliest possibility I suppose is going to be the Sweden Major. We'll see what I do there. I should probably do shorter recap videos. Maybe I'll try to get more gameplay clips, and that's what I actually did in stage 2 when I did these. I would just get a bunch of gameplay clips and talk over them. So I might try to make them really tight and concise, and then I'll maybe do like a long form, more like this kind of video where I talk about all the things I noticed and implications and all these things, and the video will be super long. And if you actually care, you can listen to it, because these aren't like big view getters, but I enjoy doing them, and I'm sure the people who do watch them do enjoy listening to them and looking at my big screen on their tiny screen, which is I'm sure it's very hard to look at this if you're on like a phone or something. That's tough. I feel for you, but maybe you just like to listen to me talk. I don't know. Yeah, but I also, okay, well, I won't talk too much about what I'm going to do in the next few days. You'll just see what I do, because this video is already super ultra mega long. I feel like there was some other thing I wanted to say at the end of the video, but I forgot if there was, so, you know, besides the things I already said. So yeah, that is the recap, the final recap. That was stage 3, Playday 9, the end of the 2021 season. Now I'm gonna have to start saying 2022 when I get back to this, but that'll be in several months. So, okay. If you're still here, you know, thank you for watching. You're welcome for me making the video. And I will catch you in the future. I will catch you in the next one.